Can I say I'm the man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am? I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm the man? I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know who I am.
So confused in this life full of mystery. Guess I'm glad it ain't a life full of misery. I wanna dance, I wanna fly, I wanna let it free. But that's a different side of people they don't wanna see. I've been caught up in my mind sometimes, so I rhyme around just to feel alright. And when the rhyming did good, that's when I just understood it was by design. And when I feel this way, I just walk and talk to appear this way, baby. I don't know what to say, baby. I don't know what I am, baby. That's just how I play, baby. Yeah.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm the man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am?
Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to the UP. We're back. UP Nation, thanks for all the support. You know, this is a great time of year because we got the Minnesota Vikings training camp still going on, some battles. And with that, I have to bring my guy back in, Mr. Patrick Buchanan, the sports guru of Minnesota. Pat, what's up, man?
What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Good, man. It's a beautiful Sunday. Great day to talk some football, talk Minnesota Vikings, get a little update on what that quarterback battle looks like. Seems to be a very interesting training camp. Before Pat and I get started, hit that like and subscribe button. Keep the UP Nation growing over 12,000 strong. So we appreciate the love and support. Music that you heard coming on was by Latray. Hit him up on Apple Music, Spotify, or SoundCloud. Pat, any updates on that quarterback battle? I've heard a couple of things. I'm just interested and curious to hear what you have been hearing over the last couple of days. What's going on with J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold?
Man, over there was right now, you just going to, like, it's that teeter-totter, right? You know, it's like when you went to the playground back in the day, you played on that teeter-totter, right? It's one of them things. One day you're going to hear this, one day you're going to hear that, right? It's just, you know, obviously comfort, right, to be comfortable in the playbook, right? You know, Darnold has had his up and downs through the career, so we expect to hear up and downs, but rookies, we really expect to hear. So some days, some are going to flash here, some are going to flash there. My man JJ got some more reps with the first, which is good. They backed him against the goal line yesterday, and you know, tried to see how they can operate getting out of there. JJ has some nice ball. Darnold had nice ball, but you know, put themselves in a bad situation with him. So, I mean, Darnold has thrown some nice passes. Where he hit a nice pass with AJ. So we go with these initials: Jets, AJ, JJ. Right? Can we call Jones Aaron Jones AJ? You know, or can we not call him that? I don't know what he wants us to call him yet, but hit him for a nice pass in the corner end zone. They've both been finding targets that they've both been progressing, right? So it's this thing where I don't know when someone's going to surpass the other, right? And step out front and say, like, rip it off like Superman, like, I'm that guy. So I just don't think we're at that place yet. I know my feeling. I know the feeling going towards it as being a 10th pick of the draft, and you're in the same place with a quarterback that's been in the league for that long, right?
Right.
And your ceiling is much more than his. So let the battles continue. I think you said it multiple times. These preseason games are really going to tell the tale, though, right?
This is what a quarterback competition is all about. We haven't had that, Pat. We haven't had this for the Minnesota Vikings. Like I said in the previous podcast, man, this is uncharted waters for Minnesota Vikings fans, and it's an element of training camp that's just really intriguing. Like, both of these guys are going at it. Like you just said, he's had his good days, and then he had some not good days. Obviously, Sam Darnold, the same. But what really impressed me about Sam Darnold is previous to his last couple of practices, you know, J.J. McCarthy had been gaining some ground, and I like the fact that over the last 2 days, he's kind of stepped up. He's looking a little bit sharper. He didn't fold underneath the pressure of J.J. McCarthy playing better. So I think you're right, man. These preseason games, I think it's actually silly, Pat, for people to be trying to pick a depth chart and who's going to start first game, because inevitably it's going to come down to, in the 3 preseason games, along with the inter-squad scrimmages, I think they got one with the Cleveland Browns, there's going to be a lot of analysis that goes on with those quarterbacks. And I think that if it's a close competition, they are going to give the nod to Sam Darnold at least to start the season. But if it's not close and it's obvious that J.J. McCarthy is that dude, I wouldn't be surprised if they go with J.J. McCarthy early. I don't expect that, because I expect Sam Darnold to hold him off a little bit, and maybe J.J. down the line takes over that starting quarterback position. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but right now I think it's Sam Darnold's competition to lose. And like you said, it's like a teeter-totter on the playground. Some days it's Sam, some days it's JJ, but that's what a quarterback competition is all about.
Oh yeah, I'm loving that they, no matter what's happening, they're supporting each other, and it's not like this competition where there's maliciousness to it, right?
Yeah.
It's a healthy competition. It's healthy for the team. I think all the players love the competition, whether it's the offensive line or the running backs or wide receivers or even the defense, right? And all the coaches are enjoying it, and it's great. It's going to build something within the team and having that, right? That's almost better than, just coming in and just labeling someone a starter. And I'm glad he didn't label either of them a starter right away, right? Let this play itself out, right? Why should we ain't even got on the field and I should label this, right? Back in, April and May, I'm not labeling a starter. And I think it's going to show us character. I think this is how you, like I talked about last podcast, winning over, the locker room. Okay, yep, that's more important than us. But the reality is you got to win over Skull Nation. So you got to win over the fans. So allow this to be played out so the fans can win it over. Yes, I think the fans want the sexy new toy in J.J. McCarthy, right? Because there's things that he brings, like it's talked about last time. His personality is fantastic, right? Bigger than the world is not just, everyone has their own type of personality, right? And it's not a crack to it, but, Donald was kind of more straight-laced, and, JJ has more jokes coming out of him, right? Or more personality, right? Sense of humor. Not saying that the other one isn't a great guy or anything like that. It's just something to win over fans, because trust me, where we are as fans, this change, we're on the edge of our seats, right? And we're loving the change, but we want to see what the product looks like. So,
yeah, you talk about the product and what it looks like. The one thing that has really surprised me about J.J. McCarthy, like I knew Sam Darnold had a pretty legit arm coming out of USC. I mean, that was heavily touted. But J.J. McCarthy, he's got a rope, man. J.J. McCarthy can sling that thing, Pat. And I think that was, it just jumps off the page at you when you watch film or whether you go to practices and watch him live. He can sling that thing. And I think his arm has been underrated because of the system that he came from in college. He wasn't asked to sling that ball a lot. He was efficient, and he made efficient passes. But Harbaugh and his run game was the thing. Big offensive linemen, good running backs, pound the ball down the field. So JJ wasn't asked to do much. The thing that has just stood out to me just watching this young man, very polished around the camera, on and off the field, but just physically, one physical attribute that I didn't expect. I don't know what you thought, but the dude's got a cannon for an arm. I'm not talking about, he's the next John Elway or anything like that slinging the ball, but his arm is vastly underrated. This dude can throw it, Pat.
Oh yeah, he could sling the ball. He could sling it downfield. He could sling it into tight windows, right? The knock is always, right, not always, but right at this next level NFL is touch, right? And yesterday he showed some touch on a couple of balls, right? yeah, he's got the stronger arm between the two. He's got the, better velocity than the two. Um, but these were all things that, Harbaugh was telling us, right?
Yeah.
Harbaugh was saying all the things. And if you look at some of his the passes that he had to make to move those sticks or get in the end zone, right? I mean, he had to put him in some special spots and down
Yeah.
the field,
Yeah.
right? Like those are like you can't just get out there and throw those in those spots, right? Now, here you're going to want to put balls in spots. Your timing, one thing's right. They a lot faster, right? Everyone's bigger, faster, stronger now, right? How do you adjust to that? How do you come in and still be able to do it? Man, I love the kid's arm strength. I love that he has. I love that he has, the intangible parts of, right, they call it unscripted plays, right? When
Yeah.
it breaks down, right? And you got to become this, you know, uh you got to orchestrate things now on the fly, right? And
Yeah.
he's not a scrambling quarterback per se, right? Like a Jaden Daniels, anything. But if you watch film on the kid, right, he can get outside the pocket and make plays. We like for the last 6 years, right? Everybody be honest. For the last 6 years, we watched someone when the pocket's open. There's times he stepped up, but more or less he stood in that pocket, whether he took a hit or took a sack, right?
Yeah.
And when you have someone who has the ability to use their legs as well as their arm, that can extend the sticks as well for you, right? And those are the creativity things that are I think that he's going to show, and that's going to really win over Minnesota fans even as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, man, this dude know how to get outside the pocket, kind of set the defense up, whether he's going to run for that or throw it. So I'm excited about that too with his arm talent.
Yeah, I think, not to bring up the past, but I'm going to bring up the past a little bit. When you talk about Kirk Cousins, I think a lot of people know how critical I was of Kirk Cousins. And let me be clear, Kirk Cousins is not a scrub. He is not a scrub at all. Kirk Cousins is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Where my whole thing with Kirk Cousins is, I think he overanalyzes everything. If you had the opportunity to watch the Netflix series Quarterback when Kirk Cousins was featured on there, you could see behind the scenes how he overthought a lot of situations, and certain situations just beat him up. So my argument has always been not that Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback, but maybe we just need a different type of brain in that backfield, thinking about things a certain way and being able to make plays. And when I look at JJ McCarthy, I see a different kind of brain back there. The kid is obviously very intelligent, has a high football IQ, and now he's got this system with KOC, who is one of the best quarterback coaches in the league in terms of getting people up to speed. You saw what he did with Josh Dobbs in a short time to get him prepared for a game. KOC knows what he's doing, and it seems to me that J.J. McCarthy, when it talks about having a different brain in the backfield, he's going to be able to do that. Pat, the one thing that I've been noticing about training camp, and again, you taught me this, when it comes to football, there are certain things that happen on the football field where you can read between the lines of what is going on. J.J. McCarthy is changing plays at the line of scrimmage during practices. So that is telling me that he's starting to get a good grasp of the offense, and he's starting to read defenses a little bit better. Am I right on that? When you start to see quarterbacks changing stuff at the line of scrimmage, that basically means they're getting more comfortable with the playbook, right?
Well, number one, you got to be more comfortable, but it's not even more. It's twofold, right? It's more comfortable with the playbook, but it's also being able to read the defense, right? I know this is what I called, but what they're in right now, I gotta check out of it, right? That's right up here, the space, right? That's the him, like, okay, he's sitting next to JJ, right? He's sitting next to Jets in the locker room, eating it up. He's eating up from Sam Darnold. He's eating it up from B-Flow. He's eating it up, from KOC and Josh, right? So he's eating up all this and regurgitating it, right? Now he's showing it. him doing that is trust me, if you the coaches are doing this right now, right? That's what they're doing, right? Yeah, hey man, you go ahead and check out of it. And if he's checking into the right calls, that even makes it that much better, right? And being able to really read that defense, right? That's all the way to that next level, right? To be able to see that and starting to check that. Those are the steps that he's moving towards and the progression that they've been talking about. And we're talking about the 9th day of practice of where he's at, right? This is just the 9th day. They probably need to know the name starter after, let's say, the 3rd preseason game. So basically, what can he be in the next 20 days? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the next 20 days, what is he going to be?
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely turning into that guy and trending the right way. The one thing I noticed between him, and Sam Darnold is that the chemistry is starting to build with Justin Jefferson. Pat, I know this may sound like a stupid statement, and it is something that everybody knows, man, but how good is Justin Jefferson, man? Justin Jefferson is proving every day in practice that he is him. I mean, this dude is making catches look easy. He's blowing past D-backs in our secondary. He seems to be building more chemistry with Sam Darnold, who's getting the majority of the first-team reps. Man, sometimes you just forget. Sometimes, he's been so great for so long, you think, okay, well, that's just JJ. Can he get even better? But it looks like he's added some little nuances to his game. He's a little bit more twitchier. He's catching the ball a little bit easier. Man, it's how good is Justin Jefferson, Pat?
Well, he's not good, coach, at all. He's great, right? He's not good. He's great, right? He had Kurt for 4 years or whatever of his career, but when Kurt was down, this tells you, like, sometimes there's quarterbacks that make wide receivers or what they are, and sometimes there's wide receivers that make quarterbacks what they are. Yes, Kirk Cousins has arm talent, could throw the ball or whatever. But I'm just telling you right now, you're talking about Joshua Dodds, you're talking about Mullins, right? Mullins, almost threw for like both each game, like 300 some yards with Justin Jefferson. And JJ made him so it's to build chemistry. If you can't build chemistry with a great wide receiver like that, there's something wrong. And to go on, he's building chemistry with both of them, coach, right? He's building it with Darnold, but he's also building it with JJ when they're getting their reps, right?
Yeah.
He's one of the wide receivers that we say makes the quarterback look that much better, right?
Yep.
Another person that was able to do that was Randy Moss, right? You see him in different places, makes that quarterback better. T.O. was one of them, right? Terrell Owens, one of them great ones that can make that quarterback look that much better. It's an easy target because he runs some of the best route running. He's very sharp in it, and his hands are out of this world, right? So, if you can't get the ball to him, then you're a pretty bad quarterback, right? But he's that good. I'm glad he's building chemistry with both of them, right? Because I think he knew what he had to do in leadership when he signed that contract, and he knew what he was capable of doing no matter who was going to be under center. And I think that was it wasn't that he needed someone to define him, right? He could still go on the field and perform and be a fantastic leader and help whichever quarterback's there. And that's what I like about the young man.
Yeah, stand on the, subject of wide receivers, because I agree with 1,000% of everything that you just said. There are certain organizations, man, where things just happen for them. You look at the Green Bay Packers. They arguably had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back-to-back, and they're looking at a kid on their team, Jordan Love, who has a tremendous upside, who could be, a third really good quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. The reason why I bring that up is I thought in my lifetime I would never see a tandem like Chris Carter and Randy Moss together again for the Vikings. That was like a unicorn for us. You just don't see those things very often. But now I look at Justin Jefferson and I look at Jordan Addison, and I'm not ready to label that tandem Chris Carter and Randy Moss, but I think that tandem has a chance. Pat, Jordan Addison in practice is looking fantastic. Forget about the off the field stuff. Just focusing on the field stuff. Jordan Addison is looking spectacular in training camp, and I've got a feeling they probably won't run him as much, but they're going to use him almost in the same capacity as the San Francisco 49ers use Deebo Samuels. You're going to see him in the backfield. You're going to see him in the slot. You're going to see him outside. You're going to see him on end arounds. You've already gotten a little taste of that in training camp. He's back there returning punts. So right now, Jordan Addison is like a Swiss Army knife for the Minnesota Vikings. And how excited are you for this tandem to stay together for years? Because they got a chance to be one of the best.
I'm excited for man. I'm super excited for it for years to come, man. Right? Like you're talking about two guys that you got at first round pick. Like, and for us to really like when Jets went down, that's when we got to see Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
Right. And to say, oh my, I can play football. Right.
Yeah.
So it's one of them. Like we had the Chris Carter, right? Randy Moss. What do we have? Percy Harvin and Rice. Right, I think we had Percy Harvin and Rice on the other side, or whoever it was, for a couple of years. But this is special, right? With them two, and you know, I hate to say it, we're going to have to get past this suspension first, because this man is going to get suspended by the NFL.
He's probably going to get 3 games, Pat. He's probably going to get 3 games.
So so we got this build up hype, right? And, you know, I'm just staying with wide receivers and just watching what, you know, Tristan's out there doing and what Jalen's out there doing and what Bo is out there doing, right? All these other guys, right? I'm really paying attention to the tight ends and number 3, 4, 5 receivers, because we're not going to have Addison right away, right? And with the schedule that we have stacked right away, I mean, he put us in a bad situation. But yeah, when he comes back and the rest of this year, next year, but what even makes that much more special is you're going to get to watch him do it with their quarterback of the future, right? So you're going to get to watch the quarterback and your 2 wide receivers of the future to be able to do their things. Hopefully we'll be able to keep everything. I don't want to be in these places where these people with 2 wide receivers are struggling, right? In San Francisco, you got unhappy Ayuk. You know, on the other side, Debo, you got a T. Higgins unhappy on the other side of Chase, right? You know, we got to, hopefully, we're able to keep them together for a while with the quarterback. But I'm excited for him because Addison is very versatile wide receiver that can, you know, line up. I think they all learn to line up in different, you know, they try to figure out who can line up in multiple different positions and play multiple positions. And Addison's one of those talents.
Yeah, when you look at the Minnesota Vikings and everything lining up, the stars are aligned. And I think what you just said is key. That tandem, they're going to have J.J. McCarthy along for the ride with them. So you've got your future franchise quarterback. Man, another thing that's been coming out of camp, which I'm really excited about, and I believe you mentioned it on a previous podcast where we talked about the screen game. Our screen game has been non-existent for the past couple of years under KOC. It is evident looking at the couple of days of practice that our screen game is being stressed and our screen game is getting a lot better, especially those tunnel screens where you've got multiple blockers out ahead of you. They've been utilizing that a lot in practice. Obviously getting Aaron Jones, who's one of the best screen backs in the NFL, coming from the Green Bay Packers. You know, they run those screens a lot. One thing I'm really, really happy to see from the Minnesota Vikings is that they put an emphasis on improving their screen game, and so far so good in training camp.
Oh man, so far so good. Listen, man, last year, like I talked about it on a previous podcast, I had never, ever, maybe it has in history, but I thought that was the worst screening offense in history last year of football.
Yep.
Right? It's one of them. It's a play, like it's something. I know for them last year, they kept trying it. I give you props for keep trying it, but it was horrible, right? Yeah. It was horrible. Madison was not great at it. I can't say that. Like, for you got to be very intelligent running back to be able to set that up. You got to sell that run. You got
Yeah.
to sell, right? You have to sell it. The offensive line has to sell it. The quarterback has to sell it, right? And we did not do a good job of selling it last year. And now you got one of the best in the league, right? He talked about before that he don't feel his name is talked about with other running backs or whatever. Well, damn it, Aaron Jones, this is one thing that we can talk about you about, right? When it comes to the screen game, when it comes to the zone running, we won't even do as much zone running. We don't have to because we have this gap runner. He can go gap or zone, right? But the screen game is back. It's back.
Yeah.
It's back. And that is all because of Aaron Jones, right? And it's all about the running back there. You got to think back when we had Dalvin Cook. We could run screens with Dalvin Cook if Dalvin Cook knew how to set it up and know how to run behind his blocks and set up those blocks, right? And yeah, you need a dynamic back there to be able to do that, and we finally got one again.
You know, what a pickup Aaron Jones is. You know, I think that goes without saying, but I think Viking Nation, Skol Nation, they are going to be surprised at how Aaron Jones really enhances this offense. Because like you said, he is that versatile back. He is that screen back, and he can run between the tackles. You know, he's a strong guy. He has that legit speed from outside. We haven't had that dynamic back since Dalvin Cook, and I would argue right now Aaron Jones is a better version of Dalvin Cook. I think right now, barring injury, Aaron Jones top 5 in the league running back, especially with the way he's going to be used with the Minnesota Vikings. I am most excited about that component because if you can move the ball and get positive yards on first and second down, that's only going to help the new quarterbacks out on third downs. You're not putting them in third and long situations. And that's what a good running back does, whether it's in the screen game, whether it's, you know, sweeps on the outside or whether it's running between the tackles, man. When you have that good running back game, which we haven't had in the last 2 years, you tend to struggle. I think there's a direct correlation between that and why we play so many close games, why we can't extend those leads, why we get behind early, why we have those 3 and outs. We've had that inconsistent running game. And I think KOC has addressed that, you know, with bringing in Aaron Jones. So I'm really, really excited about that. How
do they always say it, Coach? I know they refer to it in women in the sense another man's loss is another man's reward, right? Every time we get somebody from over in Cheesehead Nation, we get something special, right? That's your loss, our reward. Yeah, what you say. Like, there's so many. We went 7-10 last year, right?
Yeah.
And if people can look at Justin Jefferson got hurt, Kirk Cousins got injured. We didn't have a run game. It was the first year under B-Flow. We went through several quarterbacks. What other adversity? Like, people don't like. I always try to talk about 7 wins with all the crap that was going on with that team last year. And now you're putting us at 6.5, whether it's over under, and the team is improved. It's improved.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's improved. You're basically saying Kirk Cousins is the difference of that. Bullshit. Nah. Yeah. I mean, he's good. He's good and everything, but not to where we're going to. He's not good enough to strap us financially like that no more. So whatever, it is what it is. I can't wait till the season starts and the games are played. Right, we're gonna take some lumps, but we're gonna get some wins that people not even thought about.
Yeah. There are so many improvements. You know, not necessarily by name, but the Vikings have made improvements. You know, in their kicking game with, you know, drafting a kicker and some of the moves they made in free agency and picking up, you know, veteran secondary guys the last couple of days. One name I want to throw out there is Patrick Jones II. Patrick Jones II. The guy's got a great first name and the guy's got a great last name. You know, Patrick Patrick Jones II has been disruptive in practice. Like he is whooping O'Neal on the offensive line. You're talking about a guy that can put his hand in the dirt and a guy that can stand up on that defensive line. He's just another toy for Brian Flores. Brian Flores has a lot of athletes and a lot of agility on that line and a lot of toys. And the one guy that's standing out right now is Patrick Jones II. What do you think about him?
Listen, man, especially after Jerry went down yesterday, you know, we talk. I talk about it every time. Is depth at it, right? But these guys that are understanding that he just like Flores is pretty much molding and having all the players that he wants in this defense, right? The reason that Patrick's still here, Phillip's still here, the guys that are still here around are because they fit the mold of what he wants to do, right? And you got to get up front dirty and nasty, but up front you also got to be versatile, right?
Yeah.
I might stand you up to go get you down, right? I might move you from the A to the B. Like, I need your versatility up front. And I'm going to use this word, athletic big guys, right? Athletic big guys. And that's what Patrick is. He's an athletic big guy, right?
Yeah.
And that helps when you, whoop on O'Neal's ass. That'll make O'Neal better, right? You know?
Yeah.
So, it's one of them things just to make you smile, right? It's the reason why defenses are always ahead of offenses. And like we keep saying, if we expect his defense to be what it is, the signal callers are like the strength, the safeties. We know that, right? He could put 4 or 5 safeties on the field at a time, right? We get that. But everything starts in the trenches, right? Everything, whether that's offense or defense, it starts in the trenches. And your defensive line up front has to be a nasty defensive line that can put pressure, can make sure they can keep short downs, get in the backfield against runs. And that's what he has. That's what he has in Patrick. That's what he has in Phillips. That's what he's getting in Rodriguez being down there, right? He's getting this out of all these guys from being there, and it's just working fine, right? He can, like you said, JG, Van Grinkle, they can get in the dirt, right? DT, all these guys can get in the dirt for him, right? And just having so many, it's going to be, right? The versatility, whether you're end or D tackle or outside linebacker, right? You're up there.
Yeah, you mentioned LDR, Levi Drake Rodriguez, Texas Commerce grad, undrafted free agent for the Minnesota Vikings. I said it before, just watching him on film, guy's got a motor. Undrafted free agent. He's been getting the majority of his reps with the ones.
Coach,
so
didn't he get 7th round pick?
I thought he was an undrafted free agent, but I could be wrong about that. I thought he was undrafted, but I could be wrong. I know he was.
I think he might be a 7th.
Yeah, if he's a 7th,
right at the end of it, right?
Yeah,
at the end of the draft.
Yeah, they've got him on the defensive line, getting the majority of the reps with the first team, and he's been putting in work, which leads me to believe that he's very high on B-Flow's hierarchy when it comes to that defensive line. What do you think about LDR?
He once again, talk about it. He's being compared to Pace, right? He's being compared to Pace in the sense of, right, where there's undrafted, this talent that everyone else missed out.
Yeah, Pat, you are correct. He was a 7th round pick, 232 pick. You're right.
Okay, so 7th round pick, whatever, but he was still this talent, late, undrafted, whatever. So he has this his talent, but what the biggest thing that I heard them talk about him early on a long time ago is that you're going to love him, right? Just when you encounter him, you're going to love him. I've watched him in 2 interviews talk right now, and he has that lovable spirit to him, right?
Yeah.
He has that lovable spirit, but that's not who he is when he's playing football, right?
Yeah.
He's this dog, right? He's this animal. He's this aggression, this it's never good enough for him out there. He always wants to get better, right? And I think ways that they describe him as is that he doesn't like bad plays, right? He always
Right.
likes good plays. He always wants that, like, it doesn't make him happy. Like, you got to go through learning things in life, right? And sometimes a bad play is going to happen. Well, he doesn't like it when bad plays happen. And that's a great thing, right? Where other people are like, I'm moving on to the next play, where he's like, screw that. This can't happen again. This should have never happened, type of mentality.
Yeah, he's definitely a great addition. Again, man, just liking all the moves that the Vikes are made. We're going to open it up to UP Nation. We got some questions UP Nation sent me. Next time we have a show that me and Patrick are going to answer some of these. So here we are. First question is from, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. It's either Monty or Monte. Asks, will the Vikings add another veteran piece at cornerback before the start of the season? The way I look at it, Pat, I don't know how you look at it, but I think the Vikings right now are fine where they are. And they're going to evaluate through the course of, inter-squad scrimmages, practices, seeing where they are health-wise, exhibition games, what happens next. I think a lot of it is, these coaches and these scouts, they look at where rosters are at the end of the preseason, who's getting released, who may be a salary cap casualty. Is there another vet out there? Is there someone that kind of fits our system? So I really can't sit here and say that they won't add another piece. I'm just saying right now, I think B-Flow and KOC are happy with their are bringing in the two vets. They're going to roll with those guys through training camp, and then possibly before the start of the season, they may add a piece that, really depending on who's available.
I don't know if it's going to be a vet, but it might be another young to replace a young, right? Because
Right.
I think Booth is done, right?
Yeah,
Booth
I agree.
He's a third team right now, right? And we drafted you where we drafted you. I think Booth is done. I read that they might look at picking up another young one around 24 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
See if he just needs a fresh start, where Booth might just need a fresh start, man, because he's done got himself deep in the depth charts. So, yes, I do believe they're going to bring one in. I don't think it's going to be more veteran. I think it's going to be more younger to develop and someone who gets a fresh start. So I think it's going to be this flip-flop where they get rid of Booth and let them get a fresh start and bring someone in to let them get a fresh start. So, yeah, I think that might happen.
Next question is from Jack. Jack says, Patrick, in the previous podcast, you mentioned that the Vikings were going to get off to a pretty good start, looking at who they would beat, wins and losses wise. At the end of the podcast, you said that they would be 9-7. So are you looking at them? Well, it would have to be 10-7, not 9-7, because they play 17 games. But I think you meant 10-7. Does that mean you think the Vikings will have a great start but a bad ending? Question mark.
Well, that's a fantastic question. I believe that we are 2-3 or 3-2 going into the bye week, right? So whether you look at that start right there, so that's up to week 6, week 7 and on. Do I believe that we can win? Be a 500 or better team? Yes, I do believe we could be a 500 or better team after the bye week. So that's, to answer your question, I can't say like we're going to fall off the cliff instead of rising, which, at the end of any season, you want to be playing your best football. So I'm hopeful that we're playing our best football, right, in the last, the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we're playing our best football. So I think we'll have a better start than people think, but I think in the middle is where the rough edges are going to happen. So I think we're going to have a good start and a good finish, but in the middle, because in the middle it might be a quarterback transition.
Yeah.
In the middle, some things just happen. I mean, I'll give you an example, and it's a fantastic question. The 49ers, fantastic start. In the middle last year, they took some losses. We were one of the teams they took a loss to. That's
Right.
all started in Cleveland, and they went on a streak of winning 3 or 4 games in a row and then had a fantastic finish. So I believe we're a team that's going to have an ugly middle, right? Okay start, ugly middle, fantastic finish.
Yeah, I think, with the Vikings, I feel like if they get off to a good start, I think it sets the tone for the season. And I believe if they get off to a good start with the gauntlet that they have to go through, that means they're doing a lot of things well. And, the one thing that I think this team has is they have attributes that travel on the road. They've got a good defense. And if their running game is what I think it's going to be, with a pretty decent offensive line and a healthy Aaron Jones in the backfield, along with being spelled by Ty Chandler and just a quarterback that's efficient, I think there's a very good chance that the Vikings could be a lot better than what people are giving them credit for, especially when you have an in-your-face hellfire defense like B-Flow. When you have it showed last year. You look at that Chicago Bears game. If you have a defense that can keep you in games, even with the bad offense, you always have a chance to win. And I don't think our offense is going to be anywhere close to being bad this year. So I think if the Vikings starts off really, really good, I think it sets the tone for the rest of the season. But like you say, anything can happen, man. Injuries, there's so many variables in how teams finish up and how they go throughout the year. That was a good question.
But I want to re-go through the schedule and win-losses at the end of the preseason, right?
Okay.
At the end of preseason, I want to go through it. When they name the starting quarterback, I want to really go through it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, to who was that a coach again?
That was Jack.
Jack? Yeah, so Jack, we're going to re-go through it. We'll go game by game so we get a definitive answer. But let's do it again after the preseason, and hopefully I'll come out with the right answer that I believe. But I want to watch some more teams and continue to pay attention to what other teams are doing as well that are on that schedule.
That's fair. That's fair, because things change after the preseason, different lineups. You'll know who your quarterback's going to be. I think that's fair.
I got to set aside my heart too. I got to set aside that love that I have for the Vikings too. Like I got to get into a realistic.
You got to be neutral, Pat. You got to be neutral.
I got to have the neutral. And right there, I was looking at my phone. And I was like, "Well, this gonna happen, right?" That was the fan of me. But the realistic part of me will come in at the end of preseason, being able to watch other teams and pay attention to other camps as well.
The Skullman. He doesn't give his real name, but he calls himself the Skullman. We're hearing all the stuff about J.J. McCarthy in training camp, and it seems that a lot of the focus has been on him. What kind of training camp is Dallas Turner having, our other first-round pick? Dallas Turner's having a fantastic camp. And I think the way B-Flow is using Dallas Turner, Pat, is that I think this guy, and I don't think I'm overshooting the moon here. I just think the guy has a chance to be defensive rookie of the year. I thought coming in he was going to be a third down pass rush specialist, and I think it's trending toward him getting a lot more reps. They're going to move him around a lot. He is a true 3-4 linebacker, someone that can rush the quarterback, someone that can stun inside on those defensive tackles, and someone that can drop out in coverage. His versatility is what makes him a better fit than Danielle Hunter. I'm not saying that he's better than Danielle right now. Obviously, Danielle Hunter is one of the best 3-4 linebackers in the game right now. But right now, Dallas Turner and his versatility, he's made for B-Flow's defense.
Yeah, it's and you're right, and we're victim of it as well. I think we have had some segments, but not enough segments, just because the quarterback is like,
right.
It's just that main spot, and it's not fair that is overshadowing what he is doing. Right, he is one of his premier pass rushes as a rookie. Right, he's one of his premier defensive players as a rookie. He is able to line up inside. He's able to line up outside. He's getting around edges. He's learning from the offensive linemen and the other players as well. He's having his development growth but he's having more consistency out there than I would say J.J. McCarthy. It's just that J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback, right? It's the quarterback that everyone's talking about. He is fantastic. Coach, you just said something early in this to answer this question is you said defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, right?
Yeah.
And you know how we've been swapping players with, the Houston Texans?
Yeah.
The Houston Texans had the rookie of the year offense and defense.
Yep.
Can I go out on a limb and say Minnesota Vikings will have the offense and the defensive rookie of the year?
I don't think
can I just say that out loud that we can do that?
Listen, man. I don't think that would be a bad prognostication at all. I think the Minnesota Vikings definitely have a chance for that, for sure.
To answer to another way to allude, everybody outside of the top 3 picks, the top 5 picks. The top 5 picks had to take those players at those positions, maybe even the top 6 because Joe Oat needed to go offensive lineman. So outside the top 6, everyone following below the top 6, besides a place that needed a quarterback, like Atlanta Falcons, you're going to be mad that you did not draft this young man.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because you didn't need a quarterback in that position. You could have waited, to get somebody next year or whatever, right? The quarterback class is nice coming out next year. Every team from 7 on that outside of Minnesota Vikings, outside of Denver Broncos, is going to regret not drafting Dallas Turner. That's what I'll tell you right there. They're going to regret not drafting Dallas. It was. I think it was one of the biggest. This one of the that we've seen of recent times.
Yeah.
One of the biggest misses that you could miss because he was special.
Yeah, Dallas Turner. When we made the move up to get him, I think the narrative was we gave up a little bit too much. I would pump the brakes on that. I think you can't make that assessment until you see the player when the bullets start to fly. And so I'm going to hold off on saying that we gave away too much. Early returns on Dallas Turner is saying that we didn't give up too much, that this kid is special and he fits B-Flow's defense. I mean, you saw what B-Flow has done with Josh Metellus. Now you got a Dallas Turner in that unit with him. Pat, that's a nasty, nasty thing. And so I can't wait to see this guy during the course of the season, how he develops and what he does for B-Flow's defense.
Oh, yeah. Excited to see that young man. Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Next question is from my guy, Mohammed. With all the pieces starting to fall in place and all the moves that have been made, will KOC and Kwesi get a contract extension? That's a good question. We've heard a lot of our players, Darisaw, JJ, Justin Jefferson, has been taken care of contract-wise. There's another decision that has to be made by the Wilfs right now on whether or not Kwesi and KOC, who are tied together, do you give them an extension? Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate because I get a lot of comments on this from some people in UP Nation about Kwesi's first draft not being so good and a lot of those players not being able to get on the field. Brian Osmawa is starting to make some noise, but a lot of the players in that draft, Lewisine, what have you, have not been able to get on the field. So you could argue that maybe Kwesi, there should be some question on whether or not he should get a contract extension. And then you look at KOC. KOC's not coming off a bad season last year. I think with all the stuff that happened last year, actually I thought he did a pretty decent job, but obviously they didn't make the playoffs. So there's a segment of the population that may say, well, KOC doesn't deserve a contract extension. Here's where I stand with both of those gentlemen. They are tied with J.J. McCarthy, and they deserve to be able to ride this draft and this free agency period. They should be able to ride that out. Kwesi's first draft, no, it wasn't the best. But again, this is his first GM job. He had to get the lay of the land. I think he recovered through free agency, making some deals for TJ Hawkinson, the people that he brought in, this summer to make the Minnesota Vikings better, the drafting of J.J. McCarthy. He has done some really, really fantastic things. And so if I'm the Wilfs, I'm giving both of those gentlemen contract extensions to make sure they get a chance to see the fruits of their labor with all the things they've done within the past year and a half.
Yeah, whether they do it now this off season or do it next year off season, I think it needs to be done. I'm in a place where, hey, let them play this year out to even see, right? So you can see what the future looks like. Because, yeah, I'll give you the if Kwesi's first draft was what this last draft looked like his first one. Well,
Right.
shit, I'm not extending his ass, right? But he's gotten better.
Yeah.
Right? He's gotten better. Man, I listen to KOC right now, and it was the first time as a head coach, right? 3
Yeah.
to 5 years is what you should give a coach, right? And right now, what I think he's doing is he's maturing at the podium. He's the old KOC, right? The first year KOC, I think he would have named a starting quarterback. But
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Right? As a 3-year, he is not giving can anyone see the crack where he's really saying who the starter is? If you're out there, hit us up on here and show us that take of him giving of who his quarterback is going to be. Because no one's heard from it.
The only thing that he has said, Pat, is that Sam Darnold will be QB1 going into training camp. That's it.
That's it. And he said, whenever JJ is ready, it will be known that he's ready, and that's when he'll become the starter.
Yeah.
Those are the two things. So to answer the question, they both deserve one. I've seen growth in both of them. And I think that's good. And really what they got to go do is they got to, as the wheels come down from your office, walk around inside that building. I know you helped do it, but walk in that locker room.
Yeah.
And that'll tell you right there what you need to do.
That'll tell you a lot. That'll tell you a lot.
Right there.
Yeah. Last question from UP Nation. My guy Clint says, Patrick and Lionel, out of all the units, what is the most important unit to the Minnesota Vikings' success? That's a good one.
Huh?
I'm going to go with, obviously there's a lot of different areas you can focus on, but I'm going to go with the offensive line. I think the offensive line, no matter who the quarterback is back there, they've got to take a next level step this year in terms of run blocking and pass protecting. I think especially if they're protecting the quarterback well, no matter who's back there, captaining the ship, both are capable of, dissecting defenses when they don't have people in their face. That remains to be seen. I guess you can say that about any quarterback, but I know especially with Sam Darnold, who has a history of not liking to be pressured. And then if it's J.J. McCarthy having that rookie back there, giving him a chance, to read his first read, second read, third read in terms of that offensive line, giving him time, I think that's paramount as well. And again, we talked about the running game. They've got to be able to run block for Aaron Jones, who is a capable back. So I think if the offensive line is playing well, I think that really helps the Minnesota Vikings win total.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer in this because everyone, it's a snowball or domino effect to every, there's no wrong answer in this, I feel, right? And up front in the trenches, is one of the most important parts. And yeah, I love the answer in the offensive line, but I'm going to go to a different place, and I'm going to just say the defensive unit itself, right? I'm going to just say the defensive unit itself because you're putting in a journeyman quarterback or a rookie quarterback. And I think you need to have a top 10 defense that gives you other opportunities, takeaways, while they're going through their growing pains of the playbook and the growing of just being a true starting quarterback in this NFL. So I think the whole defensive unit as a whole is, I think, one of the key things for us.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the defense because I think especially early on, unless things are really going our way, we're going to have to hang our hat on our defense. Our defense is going to have to keep games close, keep us in games, especially when you're looking at the quarterbacks that we're facing early when we run through that gauntlet. I'm not talking about Daniel Jones. I'm talking about the quarterbacks that are coming after, so I think the Minnesota Vikings defense, essentially has to be ready to go. I think that is paramount.
And we could have added, I think, to the offensive line, defense, and Will. Will is going to be kicking a lot of field goals maybe early on.
Yeah, man.
Right?
He's key.
I mean, he could be kicking a lot of field goals early on. We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, UP Nation, get to that nighttime scrimmage tomorrow at 7 p.m. Minnesota Vikings practice under the lights. Unconventional playbook will be there. I heard my guy Latre is in town from Portland. He may make an appearance at the Minnesota Vikings practice tomorrow night. We'll see. But UP Nation, if you're there, you see Pat and I, make sure you come up to say hi. Hit that like and subscribe button. This thing is growing by leaps and bounds. Pat, any last words for UP?
Nah, UP, man, and enjoy yourselves. I'm about to go back and, watch some Olympics right now. There's been great things going on with that in the USA team. So I'm just about to kick my feet up, watch some Olympics. Can't wait to see the Vikings fans and everyone out there for what I think it's not like any other camp day, right? Monday night is going to be special out at camp and electric, and I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for next Saturday or Sunday, right? First preseason game. Just being able to see the guys out there.
7 days away from that first preseason game. I can't wait for that next Saturday. Can't wait for the scrimmage. Really, tomorrow night is going to be electric, and it's going to be fantastic. So I can't wait to see that. Patrick mentioned the Olympics. We're going to do some shows on the Olympics, too. We haven't forgot about the Olympics, but it's NFL, Minnesota Vikings training camp season. This is where we live. This is our passion. We're going to hit some shows about the Olympics as well. Next time on, we'll be on Tuesday night. We'll have a show up Tuesday, and we will give you a review of what we saw live at Minnesota Vikings practice on Monday night. Patrick, thanks for joining us again, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Always love to be with the UP Nation. Great questions coming from there. Great show, Coach Jones, right? Love always doing this with you. Let's keep it rolling.
Yes, sir. This has been Unconventional Playbook. On behalf of host Patrick Buchanan and Lionel Jones, we will see you when we see you. Latre, you know what to do.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm a man?